Okay, we're back. I just deleted that post because the Wi-Fi went out. So let me guys know if this gets paused at all in the comments and if this is working for you guys. I'm sorry. Connection issues. Okay, we're back again. This is my friend Devin. I prepped half of her hair. So the bottom half underneath. And we're going to be doing the bridal tighter circular bun up at the top. So I'm going to prep this with you guys. I'm going to start with my crimper. So if you're doing it along with me, you can pull out your crimper and I'm going to start crimping the front area. And remember, the crimp is just to get out your client's natural wave at the root and also to add some volume. So I'm going to crimp and then I'm going to curl on top. Okay, so I'm going to start out right at the root. You want to make sure that you're starting out at the top of the head. You don't want to take your section starting down and below. So crimping right in at her root, you want to make sure that the sections are see-through, and kind of like when you were in beauty school and you're doing highlights, that's how thin you want your section to be. I don't know why this is making me laugh. Okay, so I'm taking it horizontally, and this is going to add elevation. If we remember, always keep your volume in the mohawk section. So I'm only doing these sections over directed up until her high recession. I'm going to sound like a broken record until I drill it in your guys' heads. All right, so this is my last section right at her high recession where the hairline recedes, right there. And then right here, I already crimped it. So I'm just going to crimp these ones just to get a smoother root. But right by her ear, remember, majority of your clients tuck their hair behind their ear, so you want to get any kinks out that's around that area. Okay, so we have that front section. I'm going to clip that out of the way. We'll do the other section. If you're crimping, if you're seeing your crimps, you're probably pressing it too tight. So you want to make sure that when you're crimping, you're lightly opening and tapping it. You're not like pressing super hard on the hair, or your sections might be too thick. So if they're too thick, it's going to show the crimp. We want them to be invisible and really only visible when they're like have bright light over top of their head. You don't want to see the crimps. Taking it up to the high recession, and I already did the crimping by her ear over here as well. So I already cleaned up her hairline, and I'm just going to smooth this out right by the root. If your client's hair is curlier down in the lengths and maybe you don't need to use the crimper for any volume, what you can do is close the crimper and just act as a flat iron to smooth out the root. So that's kind of what I did back here. And now we'll work in the crown area. And we'll put that one out of the way. So your crown area is most important because we want to make sure that we have volume in our crown area. So I'm always going to be over directing these sections. Coming right in at the root. And I'm only crimping where I know I'm going to be pinning my section. So I'm not going all the way down to the lengths of the hair. I'm only going about midway. I'm staying in line with the mohawk right here, and then I'm going to do 2 sections on either side. Perfect. And then when I'm over here, they're going to be like diagonal forward sections. So a diagonal going forward towards the face. I prefer to crimp and then curl on top. I feel like you get a much smoother result rather than taking your iron like your curling iron and smoothing out with that, I don't find it gets as smooth for the hair. So that's why I like to crimp first. This will be my last section here. I'm going to turn off my crimper. Okay, I got my 1.25, so grab your curling irons, or if you have a 1-inch, that's totally fine. I actually just bought that iron, so I love experimenting with it. It's just cute. Okay, so when I'm curling the hair, this is where I want to know the direction that I'm going to be ending up for like my curl patterns. All underneath here, when I was curling it, I was just kind of curling opposite directions, always around the hairline. You want to curl towards, away from the face, towards where your bun's going to be. So this is where it's important to know the type of bun you're doing and the direction that you want the hair to flow in. So I know my end result, I'm going to be ending up here, like with my bun up here. So this hair all needs to be curled going in that direction to start creating those swooping lines for that. So all of this hair is going to be curled away from the face. This hair up here, I need volume because I'm going to create like a short part line. Or no, we're doing the all back. So all back, the direction of the hair is going to be going all back towards the bun, right? So all of this hair, I'm actually going to curl it and set it. So that way it's going in that direction. So it's going to be a horizontal hold, and then on the sides is going to be a vertical hold going away from the face. So that's why this section is pretty important. It's kind of like a half moon shape from like the top of her ear all the way to the other side of her ear, if that makes sense. The way that I make this easiest for myself is like a guideline is I'm going to take out, like from the theory, I take out the top part because I'm doing all back, and I'm going to set that. So that way it's kind of a guideline of right behind it, I'm going to curl that and set it in place, and then the sides, I'm going to go away. So that's going to be my guideline. So I'm going to do that first. So I'm right at her high recession. And I'm creating like a U or like a V. I just want to show you guys to see if you guys can see. So that's what your section should look like. So it's like a V. Ooh. Okay, so it should look something like that. Starting like here, going back towards the center. So that's what my section's gonna look like. And I'm gonna curl that into parts. Depending on how thick your section is, if your client has thicker hair, do it in 2 sections. If it's not that thick, you could do it in 1. So I'm going to split this horizontally. Like that. Hit it with my wet spray. We're already dropping stuff. Love that for us. And it's a horizontal hold. The curl technique that I do is not a twist wrap. I don't know if this is called a flat wrap. This is just a traditional curl to me. And that's the kind of curl technique that I took throughout the entire section. Again, I'm not looking for a specific curl pattern when I'm doing a higher bun. It's more so just to get roundness in the shape of your high bun. So you don't have to be particular. I'm just setting this with a little clip. just so it stays out of the way. The reason that I like to do this in almost like a VU pattern in the front at the high recession is because when you add this over top for an all back look, it's gonna be the most blended. If you do it too boxy of a section and you bring that over top, what it does is it creates too much width on the side of your client's face versus when I do the V back towards the center, it creates more of the volume staying within the mohawk of your client's face or like of their head. So it's gonna the volume is all gonna stay here and it's not gonna go outside of that guideline. I'm gonna set this on base. And then these are gonna be the last sections that I deal with. So I really wanna just like secure them up and out of the way. And I'm gonna curl the rest of our hair that we have down. Now that I know the direction that we're going, I'm gonna section it out and curl. So this is what my sectioning looks like. I'm gonna start in the back. And just curling away from the face. I know some of you guys were saying that you don't like the bioionic curls because they don't have as much tension, which is true. The most tension you're gonna have is right by the base of the barrel versus when you go up higher, you're gonna lose your tension because it is so long. That's normal. It's not anything wrong with your bioionic iron. Spray underneath and on top, and then comb so that way you can distribute your spray evenly throughout the hair. You can start curling on base once you get to this point in the crown area, so you can start reinforcing that volume into the hair. So when I say on base, I mean it's like level, it's over top, and it's when I'm done with my curl, it lays on top of her root area. These curls don't need to be perfect. This is my last section in the back crown, and then I'm going to move to the sides. I find that the 1.25 inch, is that 1 1/4? Is that 1 1/4?
Yeah.
1 1/4? I say 1.25, that's
0.25 is a quarter.
Is a quarter. Reasons I did not go to college, and I'm a hairstylist. I find that it adds such a softer curl, and I love it, as opposed to since I've been using it, I typically always would use the 1 inch iron. But the 1 1/4 adds that more faux blowout, not as tight. and I'm just here for it. So these ones, I'm holding my iron vertically and I'm going up to get that direction. When you're holding your iron this way, you're gonna get the curl direction to go up in the swooping motion for the high bun. Versus if I was to hold my iron this way, the direction of the curl is gonna go that way towards the face. That's not what I want. So that's what I mean when I say you need to know the direction that you're gonna be going. My sections are all about a 1/2 inch. About like a 1/2 inch. Typically like 2 to 3 sections on the side to really get that swoop. And same thing on this side is going to be 2 sections going back. And my last section here. And remember, when you're curling, you want to leave the hair on the iron until you feel it's warmed through. So when it's warm to the touch is when you can release the curl. Again, I don't need to hold these up. These curls, I don't need to be perfect. It's not a glam wave, so we don't need to be that particular with our curls. Okay, so now we can start finding our base placement. So there's 2 types of ways that you can do this. Remember in the demo, I said you can do inside the crown, outside the crown. I'm gonna do inside the crown, so my base is gonna be here inside the crown in line with her cheekbone, so here. The way that I like to do this, I've seen other people do it. I find I mess up if I create like a little circle, and then you do a little ponytail, and then you bring all your hair up on top of that ponytail. What happens for me personally that I mess up is when I'm bringing and connecting the back. So when I'm bringing all this up, I always get so much disconnection when I start my base too soon. So like it just looks, it's not all uniform, all one. You can like see the split in the hair and the teeth starts getting exposed. So I don't love that. So what I like to do instead is I'm gonna split this in 2 sections, and my first base is gonna be in the mid crown, but it's gonna be all the hair from mid crown to the nape. So I'm creating a 1/2 moon section. I'm at her mid ear on both sides, and I'm gonna create a 1/2 moon section so I can start creating my first base. I'm gonna try to work in clean sections so you guys can get a good visual. Okay, so this is my first section. From mid-ear to mid-ear, 1/2 moon is what we're looking for. This is the middle of her crown. And my end goal is to bring all of this hair up in a ponytail. So it's gonna look like that. So that way, when I'm working in one section, I can keep it a lot cleaner. My lines can be cleaner, and I'm still gonna be able to get that volume here. So this isn't gonna be flat. I'm gonna be able to get a nice rounded shape to go up into my bun, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm gonna bring it a little bit closer. So typically your client's hairline around here, they have all these little bits of hair that will fall out. So we want to secure those. We want to add shine. We want to add texture. Also within this area, before I pin this up into a ponytail, so this is going to be my end result, I need to add some kind of structure in here for a veil. So for a veil, you want to make sure that you have some teasing. Also, if you don't add teasing or anything in this section, it's going to be really flat once I pull it up. Once you start manipulating that hair, it starts to flatten out even more. So we need to add that tease and structure into the hair first before I just pull it up into a ponytail. So the way that I like to do this is I'm going to add my texture powder and teasing first, because powders make the hair look dry. After I add the powders, then I can start adding that shine back in the hair. Okay, so I'm gonna take my Stronghold powder, and I have just a whole vertical section. This tease does not need to be perfect. And I'm kind of splitting it, not in pie sections, but like, I'm just splitting the hair vertically all the way down, and I'm gonna be teasing vertically, not horizontally. So I'm just getting my texture powder in there for all of my sections. Okay, so my teasing is gonna look like this. This is the middle. And it's split, so I'm just adding a light tease in there. This is my cutting comb, so we're just adding a light tease. So I have about 3 sections on each side. 1, 2, 3. And then this is the last one by the nape. So this adds a lot of grit and volume into the hair, and it'll give us that nice rounded out shape. Now I want to add some shine for the parts that are going to be visible. So I'm going to grab my Team Wild, grab a generous amount. This part isn't going to be showing, so I don't really need to add any product to that. What is going to be showing is all of this underneath. So we want to start taming down our client's hairline and adding that shine in so that we can have clean texture. So I'm just combing it through with my fingers. And then I'm going to start working it up into the shape that it's going to be going. So just working that hair up. If I want more texture in this section, use your fingernails and comb through. It's going to add more texture into the hair. So if I wanted it to be more smooth, I would take my comb and make it more smooth, versus more texture, kind of comb it through with your fingers. And to secure any of these little bits that are falling out, take your wet spray, spray along the hairline, and comb those up in the hair. It's okay if your volume flattens out, because we can always pull it back out. Let's start working it up to the mid crown. Don't start pulling out your volume yet. Remember, always do tension first. So this might all look really tight to you, but we're gonna pull out that texture later and create our rounded shape later. Then you're gonna grab your elastics and create your first base. I tied around like 3-4 times. And that's what your first piece should look like. Something like that. So it's sitting in the mid crown. Now again, this looks pretty flat, so I'm just gonna pin this hair up. And with my index finger and my thumb, I'm just gonna start pinching and pulling that volume out to get a more rounded shape, because it looks more rounded here than it is here. So I'm gonna start pinching and pulling right at the elastic line, and I'm gonna clean up any of the hairline that is falling out. So clean any of that up. And then I'm gonna just start pinching and pulling right here and rounding out my shape. See, when I do it this way, it just feels a lot more blended to me. I can get all of this blended versus the other way. You can add in more texture if you'd like with your fork comb. So with your fork comb, hold it and then you can pinch and pull pieces out. Just like how we add texture in our low buns, that's what we can do here. And just add a little bit of texture. This doesn't need to be perfect now. I'm gonna go back in and touch it up and do more later once my whole bun is done. But what I'm looking for is like a rounded shape. Like that's looking more rounded. So that's what you want to see within your bun. This is probably going to sit up even a little bit higher once we connect the two sections together. But right now, this is kind of what it should look like. So I'm liking that shape. Perfecto. So now this is just going to hang back and that section's going to chill. Now I'm going to work on this section on shaping it and adding in like my texture powder tease, adding the shine in. So what my sections look like when I'm adding the texture powder and tease for these sections is gonna be, I'm gonna pull it out and then I'll clip it away to show you guys. It's gonna be 3 sections that we're splitting this crown area up into. So there are 3 sections. So we have one here, which is the side that's gonna come up this way. This is the middle back. So I'm gonna be working here and then this side going that way. So the direction that I'm gonna be teasing is the direction that my hair is gonna land at the end. So this hair is gonna go that way. So my teasing is gonna be vertical or diagonal front section. So it's gonna be about like 1, 2, 3 sections going this way. This one is going to be about 1, 2, 3, 4 going back to the middle. And then this section is going to be 1, 2, 3. Oh, there we go. 1, 2, 3 going back towards the middle. So that's what my sectioning is going to look like. I like to start in the middle as my guideline. So I'm going to start in the middle. Depending on how much volume you want is gonna determine how much teasing you do. So texture powder right at the root, that's my guideline. I don't want a crazy amount of volume, so I'm only gonna be going up the head about 1/2 inch, like right there. If you want more volume, if you want the hair to sit more like higher on the head, like how we do with the Hollywood wave, that's when you take your tease up higher. powder, tease. Okay, so that was 4 sections in the center, and then we can just lay it on top. Like that, and then these sections. Now I'm gonna start working on this side. I'm doing more, this is a vertical tease. So tease behind your section. And then place the hair over top. So that was going to go in that direction, and then my last sections. For the sides, I don't really want to add a lot of volume, otherwise your shape will come out too round. So it's really just a light tease, like 1-2 times that I go down. I'm not really creating a crazy cushion, especially by the ear. It's more so for when I create a texture, it's going to add more depth and structure for my style, not necessarily volume. Perfect. Okay, so in those same sections, I'm gonna add my Tame Wild to add more hydration to the hair. Remember, if the hair is looking dry, especially after we apply all of our powders, you wanna go back in and add that hydration to the hair. So that way it starts looking nice and shiny, especially around the hairline. So in each section, I'm just gonna go through and add some Tame Wild. Picking up that whole section, starting right at the root, and just working the product all the way through like the lengths of the hair. Last section here. Make sure you get it a lot by the hairline. Perfect. Okay, now I'm gonna start shaping my sections in place. I'm gonna secure this whole top section before I start creating my bun. So first thing you wanna do is make sure all along the root area that's gonna be showing that none of your tease is showing. So I'm gonna go in with my fork comb and just make sure that my sections are super clean. Still leaving this area out, and we're gonna deal with it later. So just cleaning up my section. And then still working in those 3 sections in the back area. So what I don't want to do is leave this flat and then just connect the section. I want to make sure that I add a slight twist and pinch and pull any texture out that I want right now. So I'm just going to lightly twist and place it on the side. So that's kind of what it looks like right now. Like that for the center. Then I'm gonna bring in the sides. So for the sides, What you want to do at this point, if you're leaving out any pieces around our hairline, you want to pull those out now. Yes, I use a shine spray at the end to really polish it off. So if you want to leave any pieces out by like her ear or at her high recession, you want to pull those out now. So I'm just going to pull some out. I can always save them for later if I want. So I'm grabbing that whole section. What I used to do that was a mistake is the direction of the hair. So pulling it straight back, see those lines going horizontally? You always want it to be a swooped line down by the ear. So swoop that line out, pinching and pulling, just like that. So swoop that whole section to make sure that it's swooping down by the ear. You don't want it to go straight back. Hit it with some wet spray. Clean up any frizz. You can detail out any texture that you want. Connect your sections using your fork comb. Detail it out. When I'm working with dark hair, I like to add more texture so that way it shows up more on camera. So what I'm doing is I'm pinching this section out and with my fork comb going underneath of it to create depth in between. I like to create about like 1, 2, 3 rows of depth. So that way it'll start showing up more 3D on camera. This is where having that good teasing base comes into play because it's gonna hold my texture up. Once I start feeling good about that, I'm gonna take my bobby pins and place it in the depths. So this stands out a little bit more, my ridge. So placing your finger right along the depth to kind of press it down and then place your pins. Still leaving this hair untouched. I just place my section right over top and I'm gonna work on my side section. Same thing with here. So I'm not going straight back like this. I'm gonna add a light twist like that. So that's gonna create really nice swoop by the ear. Taking some wet spray. Pulling out your face frame. So remember, we want the least amount of hair by the ear. I'm not gonna go straight. I'm just gonna pull out, going in like a C curve. Just like a nice C curve. The least amount of hair should be out by her sideburn. So it's literally just like the smallest amount of hair. And then the second most should be by her high recession. So I'm just gonna pull out a little bit now. In case I want it for later. And then this section's gonna look pretty flat until we pinch and pull using these 2 fingers and pull your section down to get that sweeping motion. What you don't want to do is secure everything too soon. We need to add our shape in. Don't worry about securing it now. We're going to secure it later. We need to add our texture. Pinch and pull it down. Pinching and pulling this out, taking my fork comb right behind it to create more depth. And then once I feel good with the depth that I created, taking my bobby pins and just placing it right along the scalp. So I'll get a little closer. So right here, pressing, placing it right along the scalp. So it just pops out a little bit more. So about like 1, 2, 3. Get a little bit more depth. So this is what your section should look like in the back. So it's just kind of sitting on top of that first base that we did. Now I'm gonna take down my top area and pull that over top. So these top sections, I'm pulling them out and I'm gonna tease them like that. So again, depending on how much volume you want is how far up you're gonna take your tease. I'm gonna take it up to about here because we are gonna be manipulating this hair to add a lot of texture in it when we're coming back, meaning I'm gonna be playing with this hair a lot. So I want to add a good tease in just in case any of it comes out when you're shaping the hair. So I'm going slide off the head like 3 times, like that. So where I see people go wrong, a mistake with this section of the hair when you're doing an all back style is keeping it all in this shape instead of fluffing it out to round it out with the shape of your client's head. So you don't want to keep this section all back. Take these 2 fingers on either side of the front and air it out so it creates like a half moon shape. So we're looking crazy right now.
Wow, that was my first glance at it. I was just texting further and like, how do I look?
So what you don't want to do, so this is rounded out with her head. It looks crazy right now, but it's going to be flatter. So this is what it looks like when you keep that hair all back. That looks like a little Q-tip head. That's not cute. So you want to take these 2 fingers, pinch and pull, and go round, like with the round of the head, like that. And then also what I don't love either, what I don't like to do is to leave this all, like they call it looking like a helmet head when it's all too flat here. So what you want to do is always take a product. So I'm going to take my Tame Wild and I'm going to get slightly closer in your face, Dev, sorry. So like that. So I got the Tame Wild on my fingers and I'm just taking my fingers and combing through the hair. Break up that line so that it's not all flat. So I like to break it up. That's why I like to add a good tease in here and just rake it through with your fingers so it looks more natural, more effortless. And then I add a light twist going back like that. And then you want to do that. And what I'm doing is pinching and pulling right at the root and pushing it forward. When you push it forward, it's going to make it look not so stiff. So take where'd she go? Take my fork comb and then I'm going to start adding in texture. So I want it to look piecey, I want it to look natural, I want it to look like she took her hands and just brushed it through the hair. Her hair is dark, so I don't know if it's showing up for you guys, but it's looking really pretty for me. I can see it. You can see it from the side. I'll show you guys on the side. Can you see that texture and like the depth? Yeah. I'm gonna take some wet spray. Also, while I'm doing this front, I want to talk about face shapes because I just looked at Dev's forehead and I was like, in my head, I'm like, she has the perfect.
That is so weird. That is so weird that you just said that. She goes, you have a nice forehead for a bun.
She literally does. She has the perfect forehead for this bun. Like, first of all,
Dude, our eyes just look like that is
let's
so
do
weird.
forehead comparison. Dev has like a
I feel like we have the
cute.
same forehead.
She has a short. We do not. She has a short, cute little narrow forehead versus mine is tall. I have a very tall forehead. So when I wear my hair all back my face, it accentuates the forehead. If your client sits in your chair and wants something like this, I would say no, because it's going to accentuate their big forehead. And if they're showing you something like Bella Hadid, my friend Fee, she just posted something. If you black out that like Bella Hadid's face or Hailey Bieber's face, all you see is the style, and that might not look great with your face shape, with the client's face shape. Versus when you have a shorter forehead and it's a little bit more narrow, that like her hairline comes forward, it shades the face really beautifully, and it's not gonna, you're not just gonna see forehead. So if your client sits in your chair and is like, hey, I want this style, you have to be like, hey, let's talk about the forehead. You don't need to come out and be like, you have a 5-finger forehead. But we need to have a conversation. So I'm gonna hit it with some wet spray. Ideally, you want somebody who has a shorter forehead or a hairline that comes down a little bit further. So that way you can start, the ideal face shape is oval. So you want the oval face shape. That's why I do love creating a little bit of a face frame with this style. So like this one, all pushed back, and kind of shading the high recession where the hairline recedes. It's gonna shade and shape the face really beautifully. So that's just a little bit on face shapes right now.
No, that's literally my biggest pet peeve about my hairline is like the 2 corners and all the baby hairs all right up in
I
here.
finally got my corners to grow in better.
I've considered getting my hairline lasered, but everyone's talked me out of it.
Laser, what is that?
To get like rid of these little baby hairs, but everyone says don't do it.
Oh yeah,
I feel like when it looks
Too perfect.
yeah.
then it looks face tuned. You could just face tune hairlines,
Face
right?
out.
Well, that's why I don't bother, because it's like whatever, I can just like slick it back or hide it.
Yeah.
I just think I have like multiple cowlicks on my head, and like baby hairs go one way and my other hair goes the other way.
She does have a lot of little baby hairs, so that's why I keep hitting it with wet spray. That's what we're talking about.
So this huge insecurity. I picked her so we could talk about it.
So they're receding hairs.
Okay, perfect. So I want to show you guys what this looks like in the back. So what I did was I added a light twist here. You don't want it to come straight back, because when you add the twist here, you see the movement in the hair, versus when it's all back, you don't see the movement. So see, I added that light twist here. So what I'm gonna do is take an open U-pin and just place it right there just to hold it for later. And I'm gonna pinch and pull out more of that texture. And I'm gonna do the same thing that I was doing on the sides with my fork comb, just to add more depth in the hair. And then once I feel good about it, taking some bobby pins and placing it in the depths of the hair. So, okay, so I feel good about this section, so I'm gonna place it down. If at any time you're doing this and you're sitting in front of a mirror and your client is like you're unsure how they feel about volume, or like you could see it on their face, at this point before I start pinning, I'll say to my client, how do you feel about this volume? Before I secure it, how do you feel? Because I don't want to get to the end of their hairstyle and them say, oh, this is too much volume. Because if they feel like it's too much volume at the end, we can't fix that. So even if you're midway through, if you're with a client on location, pull out your hand mirror and say, how do we feel about this volume? If they're like, it's good, then proceed. If not, take it down a little bit, because you won't be able to fix it later on. And I'm just securing the base a little bit with some pins. I love adding depth in the hair just using pins, pressing it in. Also, before I move on at this point, I want to make sure that I'm really rounded starting at the base, and I want to do some side checks. Always check your work before you move forward. So I want to make sure that I feel good about the hair that I left out. I feel really good about that hair, and I want to make sure that my texture, my height, my volume is all sitting at the same points. So I'm going to go on the side, always have my fork comb, and going in the directions that I need it to. Go to the front. Press it down if it's sitting up too high. So we check the front. I feel like that's sitting pretty good. This light is throwing me off, but no, this one's sitting a little higher, so I'm gonna press it down. That feels better. So I'm just taking my fork comb and just like stretching it into place. You can do this later, but I just like to check my work as I go. Get in that habit, because then you can fix mistakes before they become unfixable. You kind of want it to sit higher and then get lower to round out. Like this little guy, what's happening there? If you took it down too low, you can always pull back out with your little fingers. Or if you have big fingers, little, big. I feel like a crab claw when I'm doing that. Okay, I feel good about that. So now I can start my bun. Finally. If you guys haven't noticed, I usually like to secure my whole crown area and then I do my buns. Okay, so for your bun, how I like to secure this style of a bun is, instead of using an elastic, what I like to connect the sections with is actually my padding. So this is a donut padding. So I'm gonna cut it open and create my padding. There's two types of way you can make your padding. If you want your bun to be big, if you want it to be smaller. I typically don't like big buns, and I cannot lie, but I like smaller buns. So if you wanted a bigger bun, what I would do is take this whole thing, pull up my whole section, and wrap it around the hair like this. So it would look like that. But what I want to do to create a shorter, cuter bun is I'm going to cut this about like 1, 2, 3. It's about in half. And I'm going to roll it up. So it's nice like this, and then I'm gonna use this as like my elastic ponytail holder. So gather your whole section like that and wrap it around 2 times. Maybe 1. Just the once is good. So it's gonna look like that. Now I'm gonna secure the base with bobby pins. So I'm gonna do like 1, 2, 3, 4, and just go all the way around. So taking my bobby pins, keeping it closed, picking up a piece of the padding, and touching the scalp. So picking up a piece of the padding, touching the scalp, and working my way around. In total, it's probably about 8 bobby pins to hold this down. You want to make sure that this is super secure because it's the base of your entire bun. So that's why you always want to make sure you're touching the scalp when you're placing these pins in. Oh, they're looking so freaking cute. Okay, I feel like that's good. You want to move it a little bit, and if it's moving too much on you, that's not good. We want to re-secure it. Okay, so now we have all our lengths to work with. Guys, I'm really impressed with how quick I'm doing this. Pretty impressive. Okay, so this is what it should look like. So with your lengths, you could do a couple different things. If you don't want to have a lot of texture in your bun, I honestly do these the same way that I do my low buns. If you don't want to have a lot of texture, take it all in one. So take it all in one, add a light twist, wrap it all the way around, and that's going to be a beautiful, cute bun. Like, I'm gonna come a little bit closer and talk these out. So this isn't gonna be a lot of texture. This is gonna be more of a cleaner bun. If I wanna add more texture, I'm gonna add more sections. More sections equal more texture in your bun. So I can split this into two, twist this up. Remember, the heaviest parts of your bun always stay low, so twist that low and then wrap it around. So you can do that as one. And then this section, we're gonna go in the same direction, but it's gonna lay on top. Not around, it's gonna lay on top of your donut, like that. So it'll lay like that. So that's another one, and that's probably the one that I'm gonna do today. If you did a lot of curly texture here, you wanna match your curly texture with your curly texture in your bun. So the way that I love to do that is splitting my ponytail in two, and then splitting this in two, and then rope braiding my sections, and then pulling this up. That's gonna add a lot of really nice texture. And then doing the same with this, rope braiding it and pinning it up. That's gonna add more texture. So again, more texture, more sections. The one that I love to do is splitting this in two and then wrapping it around. The mistake that I see a lot of people do with a high bun, that I used to do as well, that's why I know, is, okay, so we have this one section, right? Is pulling it up so high because you wanna cover the padding. So you, instead of keeping this low and going around the padding like that, you pull this first section up high, so it looks like this. And it sits too high on the bun. So then it looks like that, and it sits too high on the bun. And then you wanna cover all of this padding that you still have showing. So what you wind up doing is taking this section, keeping it low around here and going around the bun, like that. So you're creating width when you're going around the bun like that, when instead you wanna create volume and projection coming from the bun. So that's not what you wanna do, because this is gonna fall, it's too heavy. So instead what you wanna do with your sections, that I want you to focus on my hands when I'm doing this bun, keeping this section low, so it covers under here. So keeping this low, placing it on top and around the bun. So the parts of your padding that should be showing is on the top, not on this side, right? So that's gonna cover my bun. Remember, this isn't visible from the front. This is a bun that comes out this way. This isn't one that goes up that way. And then your second section, instead of placing it around, that's not what we wanna do, it's gonna make it too wide. Take this section and it's gonna go directly over top. So it's gonna build a better bun shape. So it's gonna go over top like that, not around. So it creates more of a shape coming out. So that's what I'm gonna be doing today. So cute.
I just thought of a really good TikTok. We'll do a wraparound.
Ah!
So I'm gonna videotape while you do it.
I'm gonna do a wrap around. Wrap around. Soft texture powder. Light tease with my fork comb. Tame Wild. Work it through my whole section. Now I'm gonna crack up. Now we're gonna do a wrap around. All right, so you want to twist this section. When I'm twisting it, I'm not twisting it up in the direction that I do with a low bun. I'm twisting it down. Just light twisting it down, not too much tension. And then we're gonna wrap around like that. So just a nice wrap around, keeping this base that's super tight to the nape. Then I'm gonna do my open pins to place that so then I can fix it later. Keeping it nice and tight. And then this section, I want to see where it places first before I start securing and adding any texture there. Just working more tame wild through these lengths. If I wanted to leave any pieces coming out from my bun, I would probably do it in this section. You do a twist and then you pinch and pull small pieces out and then stretch the hair and pinch and pull small pieces out. So then when you pull this up, the hair comes out really beautifully from the insides of the bun like that, if we wanted to do that. Okay, so I'm gonna lightly twist, stretch the hair, twist, stretch the hair, twisting it down. Then I'm gonna hold this down and pull it up. And it's sitting right on top of the bun, like that, like a cute little circle. Open U-pins, like that. And then we're gonna fix all those pieces into place. You don't want to worry about covering any exposed padding too quick or pinning too quick. So again, the heaviest part of the bun is here. So what I like to do first is use that heavy part and push it down to cover that padding that's still showing right here. So I'm gonna push that down, and then now what I wanna do is before I secure, I wanna pull out any texture to match what I have going on in the crown area. I have a pretty clean texture going on, so I'm not gonna be pulling out too much, but I just wanna get you guys close. I'm gonna take my silhouette spray, and I'm gonna shape with my fork comb and press it into place. So I'm just pressing the hair into place. I feel good about what's going on there, so I'm gonna take my pins and press my pins into the hair. I never go on top of the hair. I'm always pushing my pins inside of the hair. I can remove that pin. I like to do a lot of pins around the perimeter, so that way I know it's pretty secure. I also love using padding for this one because my pins can go into the padding and it doesn't hurt your client's scalp as much. And then I'm just securing pins around the top. Why I like to do it around the perimeter is because I don't want any gaps here. I don't want any gaps showing. So pinching and pulling. And I'm securing this first layer first, and then I'll do this one. This one's coming out a little bit too much, so I'm gonna press it down. Leave your lengths, don't secure them too soon. I see a little bit of my padding showing here, so I'm gonna push my top section down to cover it. I'm just adding a clip on these lengths because they're just in my way. So I'm gonna press this down a little bit and add my pins in if it's coming out too much. Remember, this is where I would want my highest points, but I don't want it crazy high. At this point, you want to come to the side and make sure that it's in line with your client's cheekbone. I feel like it's in line with her cheekbone. I feel like it could stand up a little bit higher. So let's push it up a little bit. Push it up a little bit. Don't be afraid to pick up your bun. And then right here is sitting up a little bit too high, so let's push that down. And then to build our round circle shape, let's secure these lengths. I take the lengths together and then I'm gonna take an elastic and I'll show you guys how I pin those up. So grab an elastic, come super close. Grab an elastic and you're gonna elastic towards the ends, not too high up, because what we're gonna do is tuck these up into each other. So I'm gonna loop it like that, and then I'm tucking it, I'm looping it and tucking it up like that. And then adding bobby pins. I'm just checking my shape, making sure that I'm sitting proportionally, that all the gaps around the edges and perimeter of my bun are closed, making sure that my height is sitting proportionally, that this isn't coming out too much, so we can tuck it down, making sure that I like my texture that I have going on. And then the last thing I do is add shine and curl up my front pieces. Wow, I am really proud of myself on how quick I did this. I'm
so
gonna be honest.
I like bun better.
Yeah.
Have you ever done a bun?
I do like a lot of high ponies and stuff, but
Yeah.
You do high ponies.
I feel like I like my hair up, but I'm really into the high bun at the moment.
Wait, when is the next wedding you have? Because I want to do your hair for like the second style I'm gonna do. I just like, I
This
see it.
Saturday.
Ah!
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna be on my bachelorette party.
Oh, where are you going?
Poconos.
Stay home.
They won't tell me anything. I'm low-key
That's
scared.
probably stupid.
I'm low-key scared.
Yeah, I'll find another time to do it.
No, for real. Sorry, I didn't tell you guys. I'm taking my volume up. Remember, we have to activate it, so I'm shaking it, spraying it really close to the hair. This is gonna add that glossy glass effect to the hair. Coming right behind it and using my fork comb to tuck in anything in place and bring out that shine. If your client has kinkier hair around their hairline, what I like to use is a smooth control edge cream. So you take a little bit of the edge cream on a little comb. I got this on Amazon. Take a little bit and then you brush it up. Hers I feel is pretty secure, but sometimes around the hairline comes out too long, that'll really secure it, or around the front of their hairline. That's just a little trick that I like to use. If their hairline is too exposed, like their high recession, I feel like I might do it here. You can see through it, you can see her scalp through there. So I want to make it fuller. So what I'm going to do is take some Root Boost. What is this? This is, I don't want that color.
I love this stuff. I use it all the time.
Do you?
Oh, my hairline, literally.
Okay, so what is it? It's Cover Up. It's for like gray coverage. I use this on moms, or I use it right there. Have you ever tested it at the gym? I have. It doesn't even sweat.
No.
It won't run.
No, but I do notice, like, I don't wash my hair every day, so if I do it on a weekend, like, 5 days later, it's still there.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't get on my pillowcase or anything. Like, it doesn't.
It doesn't run.
I've never had an issue.
Okay, so if you guys can,
It does sit on your face, though, so I'm gonna cover it.
you cover your face a little bit. Normally, I'll cover, but
It looks
you.
like the freckle, like.
It's gonna get on your hand though.
I don't care. I'd rather that than my face.
Okay, so I'm gonna come really close so you guys can see the difference. So you can see her hairline there. I'm gonna take this, and I'm just gonna spray. I need to come at a different angle. See that? Gone. Okay, we're gonna do the other side.
Insecurities gone.
I literally do this all the time. Okay, so hairline, gone. Hairline, full. Okay, you can take your hand. Sometimes it disposes a little bit too much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Also, why I love to keep some Clorox wipes. I said that totally wrong. Clorox wipes.
I think so.
It's like the Jersey brand.
Clorox wipes. In case it gets on you, because it'll get on your hands like this. It'll look like a spray tan. Malfunction. I also keep little makeup brushes. It's like a very dense one. I don't even know what kind this is. It's for your brows. It's like a brow brush, just in case it deposits too dark or like too circular. I'm just gonna press it into the skin, just to blend it out. I don't want it to look like a harsh line. I don't want it to look like anything's there. So I'm just pressing it into the skin and blending it out. And look how much fuller that is. Gorgeous. All right, I'm just gonna curl up her hairline, her face frames. I have been obsessed with the 1 1/4 iron for face frames. It's just so much softer. It's been my vibe. When I'm doing the face frame, I'm on the side and I'm just kind of checking all of my proportions, and I feel like we are good. Okay, then for these armpits, I'm gonna take, remember our spray, this is our finisher, so I'm gonna take this for the front pieces. Always pushing it forward. Same thing for the other side. Pushing it forward. Just gonna darken up your hairline in this one spot. Do you ever have clients who are like, who just have like a fresh spray tan and it's dark and then their scalp just looks so white? That's what it looks like right now. So you gotta help your girls out, you know? This is a brow powder. These are just brow powders, and I'm just pressing it into the skin. Just like this. Boop, boop, boop. Or you know what it is? It's my powder. my texture powder.
Oh, when I do lip touch-ups, when people come back to me and there's the white texture powder, I'm always like taking my bronzer to the hairline.
I know. Yeah, my texture powder got like on your. It's me, no problem.
No problem.
Oh my god, I love this on you. This looks so pretty. Okay, guys, I'm gonna show you the full look. All right, I'm gonna have you do a spin with your feet.
Do a wrap-around.
Do a wraparound.
Oh,
It's so pretty.
It's so
On like
pretty.
dark hair too. I love it.
Oh,
It's so romantic.
Yes.
gorgeous. Do we love?
Your profile
Obsessed.
looks good. Like
I
the
love
side, like the.
It's so pretty.
We love.
Yeah.
All right, this is our bridal bun demo. So we're gonna take some pictures and we'll be back with the twisted bun. Okay? I'll see you guys in a bit.